This section will cover the self-disassembly process of the CK1600G Kobelco crane. For an easier disassembly process, place the machine on firm level ground. Place the block and ball on the ground and lower the boom. When you get to the low boom angle, the machine will automatically stop. Press the icon showing the boom with the arrow pointing down, then lower the boom to the ground. It will be necessary to change the LMI setting into the setup mode. This is done by pushing the icon on the LMI, showing the boom being taken apart, and hold it for 3 seconds. Remove the cable and wedge sockets from the block and ball. Remove the anti-2 block weights from the cables and limit switches. Wind up the anti-2 block cable on the reel at the boom base section. Then, slowly wind hoist cable while keeping the wire rope tight on the front drum. Secure the hoist cables to the drum so the cable does not become loose. Next, reeve up the rear drum, again while keeping the wire rope tight on the drum, and secure the hoist cable to the drum so the cable does not become loose. Now lower the boom to the ground. Next, we'll remove the auxiliary sheave from the boom tip. Lower the boom to the ground and remove the bottom connecting pins. Then lower the auxiliary sheave by backing the machine while lowering the boom. Remove the top connecting pins. Back the machine away from the auxiliary sheave. Now lower the boom to the ground. Raise the spreader guides on the boom base up to the working position. Lower the boom hoist wire rope to set the spreader into the spreader bracket and secure it with the pins. Tighten the boom hoist wire rope to remove the load from the bottom pins on the boom base section. Lower the spreader guides back to the transport position. Then remove the bottom connecting pins first. Both ends of these pins are tapered, so the pins can be removed while standing safely outside of the boom. Stand clear when removing any boom connecting pins, because it's possible for the boom to suddenly shift as they're being removed. Lower the boom down onto wooden blocking. Remove the top boom connecting pins and disconnect the guy cables at the spreader. We're now able to back the crane away from the boom. At this point, we'll remove the counterweight assembly. Back the machine over plywood type material on firm level ground. In the cab, turn the ignition switch to the off position and connect the counterweight control box to the receptacle located on the right-hand side of the machine. Using the control box, turn the engine on and use the toggle switch to raise the RPM. Raise the cylinders to take the weight off the mounting pins and remove the retaining pins. Using the extension bars, retract the mounting pins. Replace the retaining pins and replace the extension bar back into the mounting position located on the counterweight tray. Activate both left and right hand control switches to the down position and make adjustments as needed to keep the counterweight assembly level as it's being lowered. Stand clear of the counterweight assembly during this lowering procedure. After the counterweight assembly is completely lowered, use the control box to retract the lifting cylinders completely. Unpin the connecting links from the lifting links on the counterweight tray and slide connecting links up and repin. Using the control box, turn off the engine. Disconnect the counterweight control box. Now slowly drive the machine forward away from the counterweight assembly. We will now demonstrate using the crane for self-disassembly. Now install a single sheave block to the boom base. You will need to use the hoist cable from the front drum. Feed the cable through the top and bottom sheave on the boom base. Then run the cable through the load block and install the weight for the anti-2 block system. Now run the cable up through the last sheave and install the wedge socket and clamps on the cable end. Pin the wedge socket to the mounting location. Install the limit switch and connect the anti-2 block weight. Unwind the cable as needed and connect it to the mount on the boom base. Then connect the wire end to the limit switch. Then make the final connection at the reel. Pull the anti-2 block limit switch by hand and confirm that the anti-2 block error code on the LMI is eliminated. We're now able to raise the boom up to the working position. We should now set the LMI to our present crane configuration. Set up the LMI by first pressing the menu icon while the main screen is displayed. On the menu screen, select the setting with the up-down arrow icon. The crane attachment screen appears. Next, press the 1, 2, 3 icon located on the bottom of the screen. Select the Self-Removal Mode icon. The operation selection screen is displayed. Select the Car Body Weight Removal mode. The number parts of line screen will appear. Next, touch the 0 icon. Using the keypad, enter the 2 parts of line and press the OK icon. The screen appears showing the selected items. If these are verified, press the OK icon. The main screen will appear. The settings are displayed on the left part of the screen. It's important that you check all your settings before continuing. The crane is now ready for operation. Now lift the car body weights from the machine base and use the boom hoist to lower it to the ground. Lower the counterweight brackets down to the transport position. At this point, the crane may be used as needed to disassemble the boom and counterweights and make them ready for shipment. Secure the guide cables to the boom travel kits. After we have positioned the boom and weight pieces, we are now ready to remove the track frames. This process must be done on very firm ground or on top of steel plates. Remove steps from the track frames. Turn off the engine and disconnect the hydraulic lines from the base machine to the track frames. Connect the control box to the receptacle on the rear center car body of the machine. We will now move the translifter swing arms into the working position. First, remove the swing arm locking pins on each of the translifters. Swing the translifter arms out to the working position and replace the locking pins. Make sure all 4 locking pins are fully inserted and spring pins are installed on the bottom side of the lock pins. Install the floats on the bottom of each translifter and secure with locking pins. Now remove the hoses that are stored in the front and rear of the car body frame compartments. These are the hydraulic hoses that control the main track pin cylinder. There are 1 set of hoses for the front mounting cylinder and another for the rear. Connect these hoses to the quick disconnect fittings on the track frame. Start the engine and set the speed to approximately 1000 RPM. Move the hydraulic selector switch located on the right panel inside the cab to the translifter position. Turn the power switch on the control box to the on position. The 4 outside switches on the control box control the 4 individual translifter jacks. We're now ready to lower the translifter jacks and raise the machine enough for the track frames to clear the ground. Make sure that the 4 floats stay firmly on the ground during the lifting procedure. Make adjustments as needed to keep the machine level from side to side. A level is mounted on the car body of the machine as an aid to keep the machine level. Continue this process until both track frames are completely clear of the ground. We're now able to remove the track frame assemblies from the base machine. The total weight of each track frame is 35,500 pounds. Use a 4-leg sling shackled to the 4 lifting eyes on the track frames. Install the softeners to protect the slings and track pads. Now slowly lift the track frame until the small gap between the track frame and the main frame on the base machine closes. Now remove the smaller top mounting pins by hand. Then move the selector switch for the main track frame mounting pins to the retract position. These are the 2 inside switches on the control box. Now remove the main pin hydraulic hoses from the track frame. It may be necessary to relieve the pressure from the hydraulic lines. Do this by quickly pushing the control switch in the extend position. Please remember that a 360-degree swing is not allowed with the opposite track installed. Do not swing the center point of the track frame past either of the translifters on the side on which the track frame is being removed. Please refer to the operation and maintenance manual for detailed instructions. Once the pins are fully retracted, the track frame will be free from the base machine. The working radius with the track frame is about 14 feet 9 inches. Place the track frame on the ground or on the bed of the transport truck. Disconnect the power cord so it will not be damaged when the operator swings the upper structure. Now swing the upper structure around and remove the other track in the same manner. A 360-degree swing is allowed with the opposite track removed within the 14 feet 9 inch radius. After the second track frame is removed, lower the machine to the ground and level as needed with translifters. The self-assembly block may remain on the base if needed at the crane's next destination. To remove the self-assembly block from the boom base, disconnect the limit switch, roll the anti-tube block cable onto the reel, and connect the bypass plug-on cable from the machine to the reel. Remove the wedge socket and wind the cable on the drum. Secure the cable to the drum so it does not become loose during transport. The base machine is now ready to load on the transport truck. The trans lifters will raise the machine up 42 inches so the trailer is able to back under for transport. Lower the machine onto the trailer with trans lifters. After the load is removed from the floats, remove the locking pins and slide the float away from the cylinder. Then fully raise the cylinders. Turn off the engine and disconnect the control box cables and store the control box in the compartment behind the seat. Swing all 4 of the translifter arms into the transport position and secure in place with the locking pins. Now lower the boom base section to secure on the transport truck. The final step will be to lower the gantry assembly down to the transport position. Place the selector switch in the cab to the gantry tag line position. Then operate the gantry cylinder control switch as needed to remove the tension from the tension member locking pins. Remove both pins and store them in the brackets. Now lower the gantry cylinders. At the same time, lower the boom hoist cable as needed to lower the gantry. Be careful not to allow too much slack in the cable or let it become loose on the drum. When the gantry is completely lowered, secure the transport cables from the gantry to the base machine. Engage the swing house lock and all mechanical drum locks. Remove handrails and place the catwalk and upper handrails in the transport position. The machine is now ready for transport. In this configuration, the total weight of the machine is 84,200 pounds.